It's a meat event, and what an opportunity for Chito Vera as he takes his recent three-fight win streak up against Dominick Cruz, who at 24-3, we obviously know the story, one of the legends in the division. Many would argue he is the 135 GOAT, and it's been just sort of interesting. And I guess I want to just highlight what's been going on with him since that Cejudo defeat, right? Because he lost in 2020, got finished by Cejudo in that second round. He would argue it was a bad stoppage. I think most would disagree with him in that one, but ever since he's come back, he is 2-0, and it seems as though that year layoff was pretty healthy for him, right? Because he made his debut in 20, or his return, I should say, in 2021 against Casey Kenny, and it was a split decision, but a fight that I think most objective viewers thought that Dominic clearly won. Like, I remember I had picked Casey Kenny, and I was very surprised when they rendered that a split decision. Even though I was rooting for Casey in that one, it seemed as though Cruz obviously won that fight. And then he also picked up a nice recent win over Pedro Munoz. And we can't forget that was fight of the night. It was a pretty competitive contest. Again, one where it seemed obvious that Cruz won, but Pedro Munoz definitely had his moments in that contest for sure. So two tough, close fights in a row for Dominick Cruz, and he's taken on Chito, who his most recent fights haven't been close at all. I mean, most recently against Rob Font, it was another meat event where I guess the first round was pretty close. I think Rob Font maybe even won that first round, but after that, it seemed as though Cheeto like almost was just taunting him. It was like, okay, I just endured your best shot, and I still have a lot to give. And it almost seemed like Rob Font was mentally broken in that one pretty early, and Chito Vera just managed to pick up another fight of the night. Dominant 5-round decision ultimately, and then he also had that beautiful front kick over Frankie Edgar, one of the craziest memes of the year for sure. And then he beat Davy Grant, and both of those fights, the Frankie Edgar was performance of the night, Davy Grant was fight of the night, and that was a pretty close fight where Davy had his moments for sure. So, what are your thoughts on this one? Because we know Dominick Cruz, he only ever loses in title fights, right? If it's a non-title fight, you know that Dominick Cruz is getting the victory, but the odds are widening, and he's a pretty decent dog against the surging Cheeto. So, you taking the legend, or is it Cheeto time?
It's probably Cheeto time, but that being said, I'm taking the Dominator. I think he's going to get it done. He's just such a bizarre person to train for, to fight against, and you know, he hasn't lost since his return in the UFC after he fought Henry Cejudo. So I think he's going to get it done. He's got the experience, the bizarreness. If Dom does lose, it's most likely by knockout. I think Cheeto could knock him out. Cheeto's got that power, and Cheeto looks unstoppable lately. But I just think the Dominator is going to make a big upset for everybody, and boy, do I like those odds.
Yeah, right. And they're only getting better too if you are bullish on Dom Cruz. And you touched on the pop that Cheeto possesses. Like he does have some pretty nice finishes by strikes. I mean, Brad Pickett was absolutely smoked by Cheeto strikes. Obviously, Sugar Sean was smoked by some strikes, and then can't forget that Frankie Edgar lethal front kick. And then also, I mean, I know it was a unanimous decision for Rob Font, but like, how many opportunities did it seem like the ref could have jumped in the third? Especially the fourth, and even sometimes in the fifth too, because Rob Font ate way too many shots in that fight, and Cheeto's volume was just overwhelming. It was powerful, it was intense, and it was shocking, honestly, that Cheeto didn't get a finish in that one as well. But if you look over at Tapology, 72% is rolling with Cheeto. It's about half and half, so some do think that the finish is imminent for this one. 28% is rolling with Cruz, and basically all of it is beige for that decision. If you're picking Cruz, do you think that the decision is most likely, and where do you see him having advantages? Because you mentioned he's very awkward, very difficult to prepare for, but are you anticipating this thing being on the feet and Dominic being able to outwit him there, or does he outwit him on the mat? Like, where do you think Cruz is going to have the advantages?
Yeah, I think he's going to have the advantage on the mat, on the feet, or honestly wherever it goes. The only thing I worry about is if Cheeto puts him in a clench and starts throwing nasty bows against the fence. I guess that being not good, but I don't know. It's a tough one to say, but I'm just leaning, Dominic, because I'm just a big fan. But he's pretty old. He's washed up. He's probably getting knocked out. I'm gonna be honest. But that being said, I'm still gonna hammer him.
Yeah, I feel that sometimes that's the only logic you need, right? Like all signs are pointing to one thing, but he's going to find a way to get this done. Ultimately, I'm seeing it the other way though, Meat. I got to go with Chito in this one. I've been super impressed with what he's been doing recently on this streak of his, and I watched Chito Vera, and this dude seemingly just has like an iron mindset. Like seems like all he cares about is going to the gym, training to be the hardest guy in the room, going home to be with his family, and it's just like rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And someone who's that hungry, that focused at 29 and seemingly peaking, I think is going to capitalize on the moment against an absolute legend. Because if you pick up a win and do so dominantly against Dominick Cruz, like that's a major feather in your cap for sure, and it puts you immediately in title conversations. Like if he does something impressive that not many guys, maybe not any guys have done to Dominic, then he could be next in line for a shot. So it's a great opportunity. I think Cheeto's going to seize it, and ultimately, I like Chito to get a third, fourth, or maybe fifth round finish. That's probably how I'm going to be playing it. Is 3, 4, 5, maybe a sprinkle on the decision as well. But we'll see what the odds look like because I've been surprised to see so much early action on Cheeto. I guess I imagined it going the opposite way, but we'll see what these next few days look like for sure. But nonetheless, I'm going Cheeto by finish. Any last thoughts?
No, totally understand. And yeah, throw in the comments who you got, Dominator or Chito.